Hey guys, what's up? Loco here. I've been putting this off, but it's about time we get to it. We're gonna review TSM versus FlyQuest Game 5. Of course, we're gonna talk about the draft, and sure, there's like the obvious question of why are we putting Dardoch on a tank after he popped off in a leaf, but there's much more to that. I actually think TSM's making so much other mistakes in draft, and the Dardoch on tanks is the most obvious one. So we'll talk about everything in detail, and I'll give you examples of the other kind of big question marks and big failures I feel like TSM has in their drafting phase. So let's start with the bans. Pretty much everyone here knows that TSM loves playing through topside, and Ornn is a champion that's really hard to play through. He's very tanky, and even though he has a weak laning phase, he's very hard to dive over and over again, and even if you put him a little behind, later on in the game when he has his items upgraded, he's actually a very strong champion and he provides engage, he's a very strong frontline, he just gives your team so much if you're allowing him to get to the later portions, which TSM does a lot of times. As for the Syndra, this one's really questionable for me. They've been banning Syndra on both blue side and red side throughout the series. Bjergsen's the best Syndra in LCS, and for them to step away completely from Syndra is a head scratcher. As for the Rakan, this one's the most explainable. FlyQuest has been going off on Rakan. Ignar has been excellent on that champion, and they've been first picking it. And because FlyQuest lost game 4, the one leading up to this game, they got to pick the side, and they picked blue side, and TSM can't afford to give Rakan again. Now, when we get to the picks, the set also very similar to Ornn, a champion that's really hard to play through, and pretty much a very typical first pick in North America. As for TSM's reply, Aatrox just has been their default top lane to go to. Their game plan has been Broken Blade blind pick or counter picking in the first half if he's allowed to, with Bjergsen taking the last pick of the draft. I'm not sure why they did this. I actually think it should have been the other way around where Broken Blade is counter picking, but it is what it is. The pick I really hate here is Aphelios. I'll straight up say it. I don't think Kabe is a great Aphelios. Watching him play Aphelios throughout the series, there were so many underwhelming moments. There's times where he has fully stacked Chakram and he's not being aggressive. There's times where FlyQuest is really clumped up and I see Kabe not using the Infernum ult to blow them up. It just seems like he's not very practiced on this champion. And Aphelios is a champion with so many different weapons and so many different permutations of what can happen within the game. If you're not a very amazing Aphelios, he's actually not that valuable. I think outside of Zben, Bang, Johnson, and Cody Sun, there should not really be anyone in North America playing Aphelios. He's that hard to play, and players aren't that great on him. So FlyQuest responds with Varus Thresh, very typical, won't touch too much on it. And TSM defaults with Nautilus. It's just been the support that's good, and it's been the support that's very easy to pick. You really can't go wrong with Nautilus. He's like a very vanilla flavor support. But here's the problem. I think this is where TSM should be thinking about things a little bit differently. If you aren't going to play early game and you are going to play the late game focused style, champions like Braum are really great to pick here. Braum pairs really nicely with Aphelios. It also protects your backline and he's a very good team fighter. Why opt into Nautilus? Sure, Nautilus can help you be a little bit more aggressive in lane, but that's not what your bot lane has been about. Your bot lane has been about scaling. Your bot lane honestly hasn't been that special unless they got Xayah Rakan. And in situations where they're not getting Xayah Rakan, if you're gonna let them scale, give them scaling champions. I really hate how they just default into the Aphelios and Nautilus because these are the meta picks without thinking what really works for our bot lane. And then we have Dardoch on Sejuani. Oh man. This one's more of checking off boxes in my opinion. TSM, when they're playing comps, they also understand that, hey, when we have these like late game comps, we want tanks on our team and we also want engagers for our team. And because Broken Blade picked a carry, Dardoch is going to have to default into playing a tank with an engage. Sure, you can run multiple carries, sure you can run comps without an engager or without a tank, but for a team like TSM that likes playing a very consistent, very systematic style, it's very important for them that they feel comfortable with their draft overall, while it might make a certain player uncomfortable. And this is where the problem arises. Dardoch has been miserable on tanks. Dardoch's engages have been terrible. I think Dardoch overall wasn't the greatest fit for TSM, but they're also not getting the most out of him. There's so many problems that stem from the beginning of the season, and it all leads up to this moment. So yeah, I don't think there was a good solution here. I think if I suddenly got put on stage as the TSM coach, I in good conscience probably couldn't have given Dardoch Lee Sin or Elise and like prayed that it worked even though it popped off last game. Because watching him play throughout the season, he really has not been consistent as a player, and even his Elise game before honestly wasn't that great. It was okay at best. He has not been the best aggressive jungle. It's been players like Blabber, it's been players like Closer. Dardoch's actually not that great of a jungler right now. And I see so much comments about just give him Elise, just give him Lee, he'll carry. That is not a solution right now. Just isn't. He isn't that great. I know, they won game 4. But go watch my other video. I explain how that's so much more about solo messing up than Dardoch being an amazing Elise player. Now, finally, picking the Echo here, especially into the Azir. The classic counter picks for Azir has been champions that poke. So champions like Xerath, or people sometimes even play Lethality Varus into Azir. Yeah, that's just how you want to play versus Azir. There's also the other meta of playing assassins into Azir. You can pick stuff like Fizz, you can pick stuff like Zed, but in the current meta, there really aren't viable assassins that do really well into Azir. And yeah, Echo definitely isn't one of them. I hate this Echo pick. It forces TSM to play so far into FlyQuest. They all have to be going in. Aatrox has to be going in, the Seju has to be going in, the Echo has to be going in, and the Azir is so comfortable in a situation like that. So is Varus. Even though Varus is an immobile champion, he's a champion that's great when there aren't people flanking and people are walking to you forward. And also Set. Oh my god, I love playing Set when there's so many melee champions that I can bash their heads together. And also, Set is actually a really great peel champion in cases like this. Aatrox getting on top of your backline, just use Set ult and you deliver him far away from your team. Same thing for Echo too. So yeah, I hate the champions that TSM has drafted for the players individually. The Aphelios for Kaveh, Nautilus for Biofrost, Sejuani for Dardoch, but I also hate the style of draft they're opting into to play versus FlyQuest. When I look at this draft, the only thing I can think of that might give TSM a win is Bjergsen and Dardoch going off in the mid and jungle 2v2 and decimating Azir. There's a chance that the Azir doesn't run cleanse and you can have angles as the Echo and Sejuani to kill Azir and try to snowball off of that, but it's a very, very low chance. And also the problem is Bjergsen and Dardoch don't have synergy. They spent the entire season not developing that synergy. The core of the team has been about snowballing through Broken Blade, and honestly, that's not a very strong style right now. It's way more so about mid and jungle, and way more so about support being enabled. Look at all the teams across the world, and look at the other successful teams in North America, Cloud9 and EG mainly. They rely on their mid jungle 2v2. And TSM, they don't have that mid jungle 2v2. So yeah, I think this draft was doomed from the start, but they fucked it up even worse than they could have. But the real big finger to point is, why didn't Bjergsen and Dardoch develop synergy throughout the whole season? So with that rant in mind, let's go watch the gameplay. Oh man, this first play. I think this is actually a great play to start with. So it's Sejuani level 3, Olaf level 3, guess who's stronger? Olaf. Also, look mid lane, Bjergsen doesn't have priority. Azir's the one pushing out. But Dardoch, he's an incredibly impatient player, and he still really wants to contest for this Herald. Sure, bot lane has moved, but there's no way in hell Bjergsen can move first. And Dardoch just openly walks into this 3v4. It is mind-blowing. It is absolutely fucking crazy that this is happening. So yeah, the game starts with Sejuani dying and the kill going over to Azir, and also FlyQuest getting the scuttle. I mean, luckily for TSM, Solo's playing up here with his jungler nowhere nearby. This is just bad wave management from Solo. I'm not even sure why he's in this situation to start with. And he's gonna die while burning flash. But yeah, these kind of kills just don't mean that much. It's really hard to play through top lane when the enemy is set. And also as an Aatrox, it's very important you split push this game and you're able to flank. I think he's gonna have a hard time doing that. Here we have Centauran invading on the Wraith. He's very close to level 6, and he also has Solo and Pyre Beeble nearby, so he feels very confident. He hit level 6, and we have TSM converging. Pyre Beeble getting in there and ulting everyone away. Now, something very important happens here. We can see Bjerg and Dardoch got pushed away, but Broken Blade's going in. He's actually going to hop over the Azir wall. I think he was a little bit too committed, and he was going to go in anyways, regardless of what happened. But it's going to end in disaster for TSM. This Azir wall is crazy strong in terms of what it's doing to their terrain. Broken Blade makes it over the wall. Bjergsen has to use ult to make it over the wall, and Pyre Beeble flashed out. And now, yeah, everyone's going to get chased down. They weren't able to get kills. They're going to lose just one member, I think. Yeah, I think only Dardoch dies here. This one isn't even Dardoch's fault, to be honest. It's just very unfortunate. TSM wasn't in that great of a spot to defend against this invade, and once they had Pyre Beeble and Centauran and Solo kind of pushed out, they should have been happy with it, but Broken Blade committed too deep. Now we're going to get this desperation play. TSM has to get something done, and they're going to be forcing this dive on bot lane. So there's a lot of things that go wrong, and let's talk about them. Due to Dardoch falling behind in jungle and having 2 deaths, he's not even level 6 at 8 minutes 30 seconds into the game. He's the same level as the bot laners. He's actually a level below Turtle. This is terrible for a dive. And another problem that happens is they're starting the dive a little too fast, and because they know they're on a timer, they know the Azir is going to come, they know the Olaf is going to come, they're very impatient with the dive. Kabe should not be tanking. It should probably be Biofrost tanking, because he has Aftershock, and also he's not someone that's going to be doing a lot of damage over time. He just wants to get his burst down, get his CC down, and get out of the turret range. But you can see that Kabe placed down his turret before anyone else has started taking aggro, and he's going to be the one that's starting to take aggro. So he's going to take a turret hit and walk back and not do damage during the whole thing. Watch. So yeah, Kabe takes the turret hit and he's forced to walk back, and he's not able to auto as much as he wants to. And now Biofrost is going to die. Bjergsen barely makes it out. Dardoch's going to die. Power of Evil finally came in. He killed Kabe, and they're going to give away that other kill to him. Now the Azir is 3-0. The game is really, really hard to play out. TSM, they were never going to win the front to back, and the only way they could have won team fights was flanking, but at this point where the Azir gets this fed, it's just really, really hard to play out the game. You can watch again, Kabe initially tanking, now trying to get back in and do damage. It's just really hard to do damage as an Aphelios once you started to tank, because you have to walk out. It's really hard to line up the skill shots because you weren't able to shoot them when people were CC'd. Disaster. Absolute fucking disaster. So Solo's gonna get caught out here, 3v1, but just look at the state of the map. FlyQuest has 3 turrets, and TSM and FlyQuest both have 1 dragon each. It's a miserable situation as TSM. You're getting outscaled. You don't really have winning lanes. Even Broken Blade versus Solo, Solo has better items. And FlyQuest's gonna be able to pick up an additional Rift Herald here, and the dragon coming up in 30 seconds, no way TSM can contest it. The situation's just so giga doomed. Same thing later on, TSM sticking to what they know, and probably the only play that's available, go bully Solo. It's honestly not that bad in terms of what they're getting done, because if they stay in other lanes, they're going to be slowly losing the game. But yeah, they've fallen so far behind at this point. Even though they get to kill Solo and take a turret, they had to invest a lot of members for it. FlyQuest going to be using the Herald they got earlier. They're going to be able to get this turret. Turtle stayed mid, and he's going to be able to get the turret. Not only are they losing in terms of turret gold, but in terms of XP and minions, FlyQuest is spread out across the map, getting everything. Where TSM has the entirety of their players pretty much jammed into one lane, sharing all that gold, sharing all that farm. So they're falling further and further behind by this kind of thing happening. So this is the first full-on teamfight we're going to get, and you're really going to feel the item difference here. So you can see TSM starting on Ignar, and we have Solo flanking from the right, and Broken Blade coming in from the back. This would actually be a really great teleport flank, but look at how fast the tanks on TSM get shredded. Just Power Beeble is a lethal tempo Azir with Nashor's Death Cap completed, with Leandry's almost completed. This guy's a fucking monster right now. Boop, boop. Biofrost almost dead. Broken Blade wants to go in, but the fight is already over. Kabe's chunked, Dardoch's chunked, Bjergsen couldn't even get in there. The front line for TSM honestly can't hold versus the Azir that's this fed, also versus the Varus too. It's an on-hit Varus with Blade of the Ruined King, so he's going to have a very fun time melting champions like Sejuani, champions like Nautilus. They're going to have to give up this dragon, and probably the Baron too at this point. Dardoch somehow caught out. Oh, it looks like Azir got the shuffle on him with the flash play. Broken Blade and Bjergsen gets in there, but yeah, it's just not enough to kill people. So they're going to be able to get this dragon, and they're just going to rotate to Baron. They have, what, 2 members dead on TSM, but most importantly, the Sejuani dead. That is such a big deal. We can see Solo recalling. He's probably going to teleport in. Nothing else he should be saving teleport for. Yep. And yeah, they just have to give up Baron. There's no way anyone can approach. I mean, at this point, it's probably worse to go for a Miracle Steal, because if you lose the Baron right here, the game's over. I wouldn't mind seeing people flash over trying to steal it. Ooh, Kabe almost with the ultimate. Turtle ended up getting it. Maybe there was a chance, maybe there was a world where they do get the Baron. But even if they do get the Baron, The next dragon that's coming up, they're going to have to fight for. FlyQuest is on soul point. And yeah, they've already gotten outscaled. It's just really hard to do anything right now. So this is the final push coming in from FlyQuest after the Baron. The carries are on 3 items, Turtle with IE, Bork, and Runins, Azir with Deathcap, Leandries, and Nashers. Yeah, it's just unplayable. They're just going to march right in. What can TSM do? I mean, Turtle whiffs his ult, but honestly it doesn't matter. Kabe had cleanse anyways, and yeah, they're just going to walk in. No one can get behind the carries of FlyQuest right now, so all they have to do is frontline melt, and in a frontline melt situation, there's no way TSM can win. And yep, another season, more disappointment. Oh, the joys of being a TSM fan. So, was the draft bad? Yes, but there's bigger questions that we have to be asking. Why did Bjergsen and Dardoch never develop synergy throughout the season? Why was Dardoch relegated to a tank-only role? There were like 10 to 15 game stretches where he was only playing Sejuani and Jarvan. I think at a certain point, TSM decided we can't be an early game team, we have to be a late game team, because Dardoch's just way too inconsistent. I do think that's true. I think Dardoch is way too inconsistent, and I do think he hasn't been improving throughout the season. But at that point, replace Dardoch with a jungler that you can work with. Maybe try out Spica. You were so eager to replace junglers last year. And this year, when things are actually problematic, and where I feel like you actually needed the roster swap, you don't make it. It is so questionable. And I know I made a lot of tweets defending Peter to say, don't criticize Peter yet, let's wait for information. One thing that's really weird for me, Peter over the years has been a coach that's been all about enabling junglers. I mean, I hear Dominate, my co-caster or my friend that I do Face Check, the podcast with, he always talks about how when he worked with Peter, Peter was always enabling him. Peter was talking about, you are the jungler, you are in control of early game. And Acadian said very similar things when he was working with Peter too, and so does Spica. So if Peter's always the coach that's about enabling junglers, like, what is happening? I have no idea. I don't have any more information than you guys. But yeah, I think more info has to come out. Everyone's so curious about what's going on within TSM. Yeah, there's just so many big question marks. Why a team with so much legacy and a player like Bjergsen, who is still top notch, maybe he's not the best player in the league anymore, but he's still a top tier player, and he also counts as a resident, is failing in this way. It's just, what the fuck is going on, my dudes? I hope you guys enjoyed this piece. I was probably a little bit more emotional than my other videos. It's because I love TSM and I'm very passionate about this team, and it makes me extremely frustrated when I see them fail in such obvious and in such like defeating ways. Well, that's about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I'll be back with more positive content, and I'll be better about streaming consistently. Check me out on twitch.tv/Locodoco. And one last thing, I'm not crazy, I'm just loco. Bye.
Yeah, let's go. I ain't the first with the curse, with the thirst that I wanna be better, not worse, man it hurts. I'm on this earth with my words and I put them all together, insert, cause I wanna have worth. Working hella hard till they put me in the dirt. Gonna go far, man, listen to my words.